Hey guys, it's Rich Boy J here, back again with another video, and this one is going to look at my thoughts on the Last Jedi wave of sets. Now before I get into that, I just want to say that I'm almost at 3,000 subscribers, so if you're watching this right now and you haven't hit the subscribe button yet, and of course you like what I do, go ahead and do it. That way, whenever I hit 3,000, all of you have a chance to win something very cool, and I think you're going to like it. I have a pretty cool minifigure planned that I want to give away to you guys. But without further ado, let's go ahead and get into these sets, guys. Now let's start with the minifigs for the first set. I really like the fact that they have a new face for Finn. We've been getting pretty much the same face ever since they started making his figure, so it's nice to get something different. Nice big old smile for a happy man. And it's also really cool that they went ahead and they put the tear in the back of his jacket. Looks like it got stitched up from The Force Awakens, so very nice attention to detail. Rose is also a very nice figure. I believe she has a new hairpiece, and I think the print on her is just wonderful. As for the set, I think I gave my thoughts on this for the most part in that video myself and Garrett did on all these sets. Our initial impressions just upon seeing pictures of it. I don't think much has changed. I mean, it is what it is. Like, there's not much to it. It's just a little escape pod. It's honestly kind of shocking that this is what constitutes a $30 set nowadays. But hey, you know, it is what it is. I think for what it is, the level of detail is nice. There's probably too many stickers, especially on that cockpit piece. Like, that's always a miserable experience to have to do, because you're never going to get that 100% correct unless you want to invest an absurd amount of time into it. But for what it is, it's really nice. I personally would have preferred if they just, redid the entire ship, made it bigger, had this part be able to detach, and just kind of went with it that way. But who am I? So now let's go on to the next set. We got the First Order Scout Transport. Figures in this set, pretty average. There's nothing really unique in this. Honestly, I think the only unique thing in it is actually that girl's helmet. It looks like just a normal Resistance helmet, but it's a different mold, and it also has that unique print on the top. So, I mean, I guess that's something. But as for everything else, not really much to say about it. And as for the set, I can't really say my thoughts on it have changed. It's definitely the worst set of this wave by far. Probably the worst set out of any of the new movie waves. Actually, no, definitely the worst. There's just not very much to it. And of course, I mean, you can't complain about the ship design or the walker design, because Lego doesn't design that. They get their source material and they make the sets that they make. But, I mean, there's just not much to this thing. Especially for $50, I mean, I don't know. There's just way better sets you can get for $50 than this one. It's very dinky. I can't even imagine like a kid enjoying playing with this. Honestly, forgot I had it until this review. That's how kind of underwhelming it is. But let's move on to the next set. I guess technically it would be... Oh no, so yeah. So Kylo's TIE Fighter. I think initially this was my favorite set of the wave, and when I got it I wasn't disappointed, but I think some of the other sets just had a better impression on me. But this is still a very solid set. It has a fantastic assortment of minifigures. I think this guy right here with the red stripes is probably my favorite minifigure out of the wave. I'm so glad we finally got that guy, and hopefully he's going to be coming up soon in a Microfighter. If that happens, I will be stocking up on them, because I have 5 of the Special Forces TIE Fighters, and I would like some Special Forces boys to be in it. The BB-9E figure is also very nice. The print on the head is just stellar. I mean, just the details that Lego puts on all their figures nowadays, it's fantastic. A lot of people will say, they like the charm of the old figures, but nothing can compare to these guys. The new Kylo Ren, also, I'm a big fan of it. Very nice looking figure. The scar, the kind of like mesh printing on his chest and his thighs, it looks very nice. I kind of try to simulate the way his cape looks by having it draped over one shoulder a little bit. Didn't come out perfectly, but I mean, for what it is, it works. It's Lego. Moving on to the next set, there's of course I guess it's not technically a UCS set, doesn't have the UCS seal on the box, so I'm going to assume that it's not, which is actually really weird because the R2-D2 was the UCS set. But either way, this was a surprisingly fun build. I had a ton of fun building this thing, and I think the set is just fantastic. Like, it's been selling really well, like from what I can tell, just seeing how many people have purchased it, the perception of it online. But then I think it's worth it. Like, the play features on it, the fact that they have the arm that can come out, that's hilarious. And also that you can rotate the head on the other side. Like, for what this set is, they definitely got the most out of it. And I can't complain about it. I think they did a stellar job with it. And honestly, it's probably my second favorite set out of this wave. Now, moving on, we're going to look at the Resistance Transport. Now, this thing is my favorite set. So I guess I should stay with the minifigures first. As for the minifigure assortment, they're all fantastic. I always love getting the nice detailed prints on the Resistance helmets. I mean, the fact that they're dual molded is great. Now, this is an interesting case because they didn't dual mold this helmet. So I'm hoping that he just doesn't have a visor. I'm hoping that they wouldn't just leave that out, even though the other two people do have the dual molded visor built into the helmet. So I'm just going to assume that he has the old style helmet, and for whatever reason, he doesn't have a visor. So I need to talk to him about that. Safety first. Holdo is a very nice figure. I especially like the back printing, the fact that she has the, like, I guess it's I don't know if it's a hood. It's probably a hood that kind of comes down on the back. Looks really nice. And it's also really nice to get Poe in kind of a more casual state without the, like, pilot vest and the tubes going across. This is the way we see him at the end of The Force Awakens, as well as a few other pilots like Snap. So I'm definitely going to be looking to get a few more of those jumpsuits in case I do like a Dakar mock or some sort of Resistance-based mock. It'll be really nice to have a bunch of those jumpsuits, just to have some, you know, casual Friday-looking Rebel or Resistance troops walking around. And as for the set, this thing is just absolutely fantastic. I mean, as a kid, this would probably be my favorite set. I mean, it really kind of resonates with me just because it feels so complete. The fact that you can put troops in 6 different places. It has an interior. If you guys know how I build, you know I'm a sucker for the interiors, so that's always important to me. And also just the fact that it's a very interesting build, like the techniques they use, the fact that you built this section that comes down first and then it connects to the top section with Technic. It's just very interesting all the way around. It's a very solid, sleek looking build. The combination of blue and gray always looks good, especially like on the Resistance X-Wing. And I just can't say enough good things about this set. I think it's easily my favorite set out of this wave. Probably my favorite out of any of the sequel trilogy waves, including the Rogue One wave. And I think this thing is creeping into my top 5 favorite sets. I don't know which one I'd take out for it, though. It's definitely up there. Yeah, I would honestly love to get a second one of these and do a color swap with red, have the red version from the trailer. I think that would look really nice. So if I do that at some point, I'll post a video on it for you guys. I can have 2 of these things. I definitely want to get duplicates. I know I said before that the thing about this wave is I couldn't really see myself getting duplicates of any of these sets, but after building this thing, I could easily see myself picking up another one of these because it's just so nice. Very nice set. Can't say enough good things about it. My favorite. If you have to pick one set out of this wave, I think this one is the way to go. This is easily the best set. Has a great assortment of minifigures. You can fit all the minifigures that come in the set into the build, and you still have room to put more minifigures. I think that's always awesome. So you can use maybe some of your other people. And man, I can go on all day about this thing, but regardless, great set, guys. Gets my thumbs up. Gets a rich boy thumbs up. And let's move on to the next one. So now let's move on to the First Order ATM-6, the All-Terrain Mega Caliber 6. I think that's what it's called. What a ridiculous name for a walker. But all in all, this is a very nice set. This is probably the one that I had the most negative opinion going into, I guess aside from the Scout Walker, but from when I first saw this thing, I was not a fan at all. I thought it was a very ugly set. I thought it was a very ugly design for a walker. Like, when I first heard they were going to do gorilla walkers, I was just very turned off by that. Thought it was maybe a little bit too far into the extreme and the animal likeness and these builds. But having built it, having seen some better pictures of the actual thing, like in the posters that we got on Force Friday, I'm coming around. It's really growing on me, and I'm actually a pretty big fan of the set. As for the figures, I'm so glad that I finally got that Episode 8 Rey. I really can't wait to get the Resistance Rey from the end of Episode 7, presumably beginning of Episode 8. But this one is very nice. The only issue I have with it is the fact that they're still using that same face for Rey. It's like they upgraded it with Finn, but they couldn't do too much. They couldn't give you a new print for Rey, even though she's the main character. So that's kind of annoying. I think ideally it would be kind of cool, and maybe it wouldn't make a ton of sense in this context, but to have a printed face for Rey with like one of her eyes winked from when she like aims the pistol and she's on Takodana. I think that would be a kind of cool expression to give her, and then maybe like a more extreme smile on the other side to kind of have two very distinct, unique face prints, because we've just gotten the same face for every single Rey that we've gotten so far. But I'm not going to gripe on that too long. All in all, it's a great figure. I think the hair mold is also fantastic, and it's nice that she actually got one. I guess Jen just wasn't important enough to get her own hair mold. Glad they're showing some respect to Rey. As for Poe, got Captain Poe Dameron. I like the black jacket. Makes him look very cool. Fits him very well. It's nice to have another unique Poe figure. And I'm really digging the ATM-6 pilot. Kind of has a Flame Trooper style helmet. And the Flame Trooper is probably my favorite new trooper out of any of the new Star Wars stuff. So I'm always happy to see that design get reused. The other two minifigs, I don't think either of them are unique. Just, standard Resistance Trooper, standard Stormtrooper. It's always nice to get more of those to Army build, but not too much I can say about those. As for the set, I'm really happy with it. I think they did a great job for what it is. It probably should have been a little bit bigger, since they released the AT-AT kind of in this scale, and it's basically the exact same size. And I think I said this in my last video, like it wouldn't be a huge problem if this thing kind of existed only in the sequel trilogy by itself without the AT-ATs there. But apparently there's going to be AT-ATs in The Last Jedi standing right alongside this thing, so I think they probably maybe just could have made this a bigger set and just gotten rid of this thing. Just forget that thing. Have this maybe be a $150, $170 set. Just make it bigger. That way you can put this side by side with the AT-AT and it still makes sense. But other than that, I mean, it is what it is. I'm really disappointed with the lack of interior usage on this set. Like, you can only fit one guy in the head, which, I mean, it isn't a huge deal because that's mostly what they usually do. I guess for the other AT-AT you could fit Veers back there as well. But like on the side, I mean, they just kind of give you this compartment to put a box. Like, really, a box? You couldn't have come up with anything better to put there? A box? And then you can stand one guy up on either side over here. So maybe the actual thing doesn't have much of an inside. Maybe it's just all, I don't know, machinery for that giant cannon that's on the top. I don't know, but I can't say I'm too thrilled with their usage of the interior space. Now, the gun at the top, I think it's a great mechanism. The way it works, you can just kind of twist that. Really happy with that. I think that just came out pretty flawlessly. The only thing that could kind of make it better is if it could go side to side, but it's clearly limited based on the mechanism, so I won't complain too much. For what it is, I think it's an awesome play feature, the fact that you can aim and rotate that huge cannon on the top. So now let's get into the last set. And this is the long-awaited Snoke minifigure. I'm really happy to have this guy. I can't wait to see the movie so I can kind of get a better feel for what kind of context I should have him in and things of that sort. I'm also really happy that we got this First Order, I think, Sergeant with the white pauldron. I like collecting the pauldrons, having different ranking officers. Just because I think it sets the scene really well. Like, if you can have like multiples of different officers, it does a better job at kind of creating diversity amongst a pretty uniform group of guys, and it works well for Mox. Like, you see a lot of these guys wherever you see the First Order, whether it be like on Starkiller Base or even at the beginning of The Force Awakens on Jakku. So really happy to have that guy. I think this guy over here is also really nice. The gunmetal gray kind of First Order officer. That's unique. I'm hopefully he comes in something else. Like I'm hoping this isn't it for him, because it's a really nice color. I do also kind of wonder whether or not like this is going to be like a distinct person or a distinct look for an officer, or whether or not they're just going to do every gray First Order officer in that color that way moving forward. And then as for this guy, now my theory is that this is probably the First Order crew guy with his helmet flipped up. Like if you take this guy and the First Order crew guy, from the back the helmets are almost indistinguishable. Like they look exactly the same. You can see them right there. But if you look at it kind of from the side, it kind of looks like the helmet on the shuttle pilot. I think that's what Brickset officially calls him. Has this helmet on this side, but maybe just flipped up. I'm not entirely sure though. The shape isn't exact, but I think if it is that, I'd actually be pretty happy with that. Like it'd be kind of a cool thing. Like we've only seen these guys like this before, but I mean their helmets can flip up, possibly. I don't know. My own little theory. I guess the Last Jedi may or may not. It probably won't even confirm it. We may just see that guy just as he is. But as for the set, let's move on to this bad boy. I think this thing is awesome. This is the first Star Destroyer I've gotten at this size since 6211, that first like system scale Star Destroyer that they made, and that thing was a monster. This thing isn't quite that big, but I think for the size that they went for, they got the most out of it. Like it has a fully packed interior. I mean, if I do more videos like this, where I'm like reviewing sets or talking about official Lego sets, you're gonna hear me talk a lot about interiors, because I mean that's really what matters the most to me when it comes to builds. But I think they just did an amazing job with this. Like there is no wasted space. Every single part of this contributes to something on the inside. You have effectively 4 separate scenes. Like you have the consoles over there. There's the med droid on that side. I think there's like a table as well that kind of sits right there. And then there's also the bridge over here. And then of course the area where Snoke sits and the hologram. So all in all, I'm very happy with this set. There's not really much more I can say about it. I think it's a fantastic set and definitely one of the best that they've released in a very long time. And I'm also just a sucker for the design of the First Order Star Destroyer. Like I think it's a beautiful ship. I think it's a great evolution of the normal Star Destroyer, which is such an iconic ship. I think Disney did a fantastic job kind of building on that and making a new set, or a new ship. So that's going to finish up pretty much the overall overview. I'm going to go back to sitting over there and I'll give you guys my final thoughts on the collection as a whole. Alright guys, to kind of sum up this wave, I'm overall very pleased with it. I think it's a great assortment of sets. I think it's primarily a great assortment of minifigures. I think this is the best set of minifigures that we've gotten out of any of the waves for the new movie, so I'm really happy about that. And then also, you get a lot of really good new building techniques. I think as a whole out of this wave, there's just a lot of diversity. And when you compare it to like the Force Awakens wave or the Rogue One wave, you just get so many different types of things. Like you get the walker, you get the big capital ship, you get the one-man fighter, you get the small little escape pod. I can't imagine there was too much of a market for that though. But overall, I'm very happy with it. If I had to rank these sets, I'd say that this one is number 7. I'd give the Resistance Pod number 6. I'd say that the AT-M6 is number 5. I'll put Kylo's tie at number 4, BB-8 at 3, the Star Destroyer at 2, and then the fantastic Resistance bomber at number 1. This thing is just fantastic. That's going to pretty much finish up this video, guys. If you haven't already, go ahead, hit the like button if you enjoyed the video. Go ahead, hit the subscribe button to support the channel, because I'm going to be doing a giveaway at 3,000 subscribers. It's going to be something pretty cool. I think you guys are really going to like it. And finally, I really appreciate the support that you guys gave me on my Millennium Falcon video. It's by far the most successful video that I've ever put out on YouTube, so I'm glad that you guys get so much out of it. I had a ton of fun building it, and if you're watching this and you're like, what Millennium Falcon video, go watch it right now. It's on my channel. I made a minifig scale Millennium Falcon. Has a full interior, has lights on the hyperdrive, all the bells and whistles. It's pretty complete, and I think you'll really enjoy it. And just for one last thing, a lot of people were asking me, like, am I going to get the new UCS Millennium Falcon and compare the two? I will get it at some point. I will try to do a comparison. There's no guarantees, and I mean, at this point, there's really no way for me to even get it because it's on like back order. A lot of people are having trouble with that. So that's how that's going to go. So once again, guys, thanks for watching the video, and I'll see you again very soon.